So one of the main problem when it comes to clauses, it always seems that it is compared by the phrase. So we would going to define what is the difference between the phrase and the clause. So a while ago, I differentiate the independent clause and the dependent clause. But for now, we will just going to differentiate between the phrase and the clauses or the clause. So when we say phrase, it's just a group of words that does not has a complete sentence. While the clause is what I said, clause has this so-called subject plus verb, wherein it always has the complete sentence. So, to more be clarified, in short, the differences between the phrases or the phrase and also the clause or the clauses is that when we say phrase, it does not convey any complete sentence. But when we say clause, it has always the subject as a verb is always equal to the complete sentence that the phrases does not have. So now let's define what is the use of the subject and also the verb. When we say the subject in the basic clauses form, subject is the one who is retaining the action. Meaning to say it seems to be like the subject itself, the one who is doing the action. While vice versa, when we say verb, it is the action of the subject. While the subject, it is the one who is doing the action. As an example of an independent clause, Sharon speaks. So, as you can see, there is the present of the subject. And also, there is the presence of the verb. So, a while ago, I told you that. So, as you can see here, subject and a verb will only indicate if ever that we are referring to the independent clause, it always has the subject and the verb because subjects will always do things with the verb while verb will always do things with the subject. But if ever the verb will be gone, it seems to be like it is becoming a dependent clause. Again, dependent clause cannot stand by itself. So, for example, I'm going to eat lunch after. Then what? After what? So you will going to notice if there is an when there is dependent clause that is being mentioned, if ever that the thought is not yet complete. But if ever that you were going to hear an independent clause, the thought is being complete or the thought is complete already. So as an example of an independent clause is Sharon speaks. So as far as I remember that I told you guys that when we say clauses, it is a combination of its subject and the verb. So as you can see, in the examples of an independent clause, there is the presence of the subject. On the other hand, there is also the presence of the verb. So if ever that we will not going to include if ever that we will not going to include the verb itself, it will just only focusing on Sharon. So what does Sharon did? It will become a dependent clause. So in the dependent clause, we have an example. Every night I go to bed. It seems to be like confusing. Why? Because every night I go to bed. So it seems to be like a complete thought, wherein it's not yet a complete thought. You ask what the example is trying to say is every night I go to bed. Then the question is, what are you doing every night you go to bed? To become this dependent clause to an independent clause is we will just going to add another form of sentence which can help this one or which can help the dependent clause to become an independent clause. So what would be the group of words that would help this dependent clause to become an independent clause. So every night I go to bed, I eat apple. So there is a complete thought that every night I go to bed, I eat apple. So there is no such thing as question, what are you doing every night you go to bed? So this particular example will become an independent clause. So again, when we say independent clause, this are the group of words which indicates or which has the subject and the verb, or the connection between the subject and the verb that has its own complete thought. While the dependent clause, it cannot stand by itself because most of the dependent clause seems to be like a phrase. So that's all. So that is the end of our discussion, which talks about independent clause and dependent clause. What is the differences between the two, and how would you able to spot if the sentence or the group of words has this so-called independent clause, and how would you able to spot if ever the group of words is just a dependent clause. And also, we also tackled about the clause versus the phrase. And how would you able to differentiate between the two? Once again, this is Nabaran P. Verano, your teacher for today. Thank you. So, before anything else, we need to define or we need to know what is the difference between an independent clause and the dependent clauses. Far as I remember, I mean, when we say dependent clause, it can stand by itself, but when we say dependent clause, it cannot stand by itself. So, to furthermore view what is the real meaning or the real use of an independent clause, we will going to have a lot of examples so that you would be able to know, you would be able to understand what am I talking here. Stop. So, when we say basic clause, it is a combination of subject plus a verb. Wherein we could say that it is connected on the independent clause and also the dependent clause. So, when we say basic clause, it is a combination of subject plus a verb. Wherein we could say that it is connected on the independent clause and also the dependent clause.